explore another topic called parallel arrays and see how parallel arrays can help us solve some of the use cases that we may encounter in our programs. Going back to our theme park and the ticketing system, let's build something on top of it. Let's say we have some tickets, okay, which were generated for different riders. Alright. Now, if you remember, when we print out or generate the ticket for the rider, we accept his age, his weight, and some other information based on which we decide which rides he can and cannot ride. Let's suppose in our program we also want to keep track of the age and the weight of the rider whom the ticket has been generated. Now, in order to do that, we can create another array called ages, right? And we store some values in this array, and another array called weights, and store the weights of the rider in this array. Okay? Now, let's suppose the first rider weight is 140, his age is 18, the ticket generated for that rider was 123. Another rider was 90 pounds, he was 12 years old, the ticket generated is 234, and so forth. So we have these three arrays to keep track of three different values for our ticketing system. These are called parallel arrays because we are trying to store related information in parallel arrays, right? Later on in our program, we can correlate these information and generate some reports or other processing that we want to do. So we can do that very easily. Let's suppose at the end of the day we want to generate the ticket numbers, the age of the rider, and the weight of the rider, so that we have a report of which ticket was generated for which rider. While loop can help us in this case as well. Okay, so as we have seen before, we can create, we know the size of array, or let's just call it number of tickets equal the size of the array, which is 4 in this case. Our starting index is initialized to 0. We will have a while loop where index is less than number of tickets. Okay, and over here we can print the following information. Since I'm running out of space, I'm just going to put it here. Age of the rider and weight of the rider. And then we increment our index to index plus 1. So what this will do is, at index number 0, we know that the ticket number is 123. The rider for which the ticket is generated, his age is 18 and his weight is 140. So at that index we print all this information in a single print statement. We go to the second index and we print the related information, third index, and so forth. So that's how we can keep track of related information in parallel arrays and be able to process it very easily using the while loop. Now another very important thing that I want to mention here is you have to be very careful when you're initializing the number of tickets so that it matches the size of the array. Let's suppose I make a mistake and I initialize my array number of tickets to 5. Now what will happen is it will go through this, it will start processing this index from 0, 1, 2, 3, and it will also process index number 4, this area. However, we don't know what this area contains because it is outside of the array size. So the array size is only up to this point. And this index number 4 is outside of this array. So in this case, the program will throw an error saying index out of bounds, and so it will not be able to process this array successfully. So instead of hard coding this value, a lot of programming languages allow you to find the length of an array using some kind of a function. So in Python, for example, we can say len of tickets. So len is a function which takes in the array and it finds out the size of the array, which you can store in the number of tickets. So in that case, you will prevent array out of bound errors in your program.